What's up, Fightful Faithful? Welcome back to another interview here on Fightful Overbooked. Today we are here with one of the best talents in Revolution Pro Wrestling right now, Mr. JJ Gale. How are you doing today, JJ?
Yeah, very well, thanks, man. Pleasure to be on the show.
Uh, Absolutely. And you've been very busy recently. Over the weekend, you actually had a massive win in the Revolution tag team match. You were the sole survivor. Big win, especially considering you were also recently announced for the Revolution Rumble. And just what that win meant to you in a vacuum as well, considering the stars that were in it. And just how you're preparing for the Revolution Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge win. I think if you're looking at that match from a fan's point of view or anyone, you're looking at the top talent in the UK, the top talent in Rev Pro for sure. You got Michael Oku, British heavyweight champion, just had one of the best matches of all time. You know, Ricky Knight Jr., former heavyweight champion, Leighton Buzzard, setting the world on fire. I could go on and on and on. There's loads of guys in there. But I think when I find myself in situations like that, I just want to prove that I belong in that bunch of people. That I'm in that conversation. I think it was a perfect time to do that. Like you say, it was me and Gabe Kidd, the last two standing. And I think, judging by what I could hear from the crowd, there were plenty of points where they thought that, okay, this is it. Gabe's murdered JJ. This is a formality now. But hey, look, the T-shirt says it, heart and soul, I don't give up. And, it's not just a tagline. It's really how I conduct myself in the ring and outside of the ring, and my entire approach to wrestling. I want to put my heart and soul into it. I want to give everything I've got to get to where I want to go. And I think I proved that in the ring on Saturday, last man standing. And it's a pretty big statement heading into the Revolution Rumble.
And you said there the heart and soul, and a match that really did embody that was your match at High Stakes with Luke Jacobs. You faced Luke on several occasions before then, but that match, I would say anyway, was much better than the others. But it was on a night with such a massive match going on with Michael and with Will, main event. You guys really did go out there and put on an amazing match. And just for you, what was different this time for you? Did you feel it was different this time?
Yeah, well, I think me and Luke, we've wrestled 2 or 3 times before, but they were just matches. They were just, here's a couple good wrestlers and they're going to have a match on a show. It was different this time. There was a lot of vitriol going into this match. I started off my year beating Callum Newman in the main event of the first Rev Pro show of the year, which is massive for me. And as I was basking in that moment, Luke comes out, he attacks me from behind, he puts a beating on me. So from the off, there's some heat there, you know what I mean? And not only that, it's Will Ospreay's last match. There's over 2,000 people in the arena. Some of them know who I am, a lot of them probably don't. Luke's had stand-up matches with guys like Ishii and everyone else. So I'm there, and I want to prove that, like I said earlier, that I belong, and I want people to walk out of that show knowing the name JJ Gale. And the only way to do that is just to go out there and have a bang. And I think that's what we did. It was aggressive. It was physical. And we were making a statement that, yes, there's some big names on this show, but there's the very best talent in the UK that we're here week in, week out. And this is what we can do. And I'd like to think we delivered in showing that.
And just kind of sticking with high stakes, like you did just mention it, that match with Ospreay and Oku, you had the chance to wrestle Ospreay a couple of years ago, and you were much younger in your career than you are now. But for you, how big of a learning experience was that for you early enough into your career?
Yeah, huge. I mean, when I think back to that now, it's a fond memory because it's one of the very best, in my opinion, if not the best in the world. And it was just as he was really starting to excel, I think, at that point. For me, I'm so early on in my career. I'm still doing the contender stuff in Rev Pro. I don't really have a personality above just trying to prove myself and being, a contender. It was a huge opportunity. It's something that happened last minute. I was going into that show and that taping thinking I was wrestling my mate Kurtis. That's the nod I got. I was meant to be wrestling Carl Fletcher. He got a concussion wrestling wheel the night before. I was told, well, Kurtis messaged me. He said, hey, it's me and you today, I think. And I was like, oh, cool. First time ever, a good mate of mine. This is going to be a fun match. And I get there and then I'm smartened up that I'm wrestling Will Ospreay. And I'm like, oh, okay, now it's time to deliver. So super nervous, went in there. I think I held my own, but I mean, I'm so happy for Will to go off to AEW and do what he's doing. But there's that little part of me that kept thinking, God, I want to run this back, because each month by month, year by year, I know I'm getting better. And I know that match is going to be so much more than it was in front of absolutely no one in the training school during a pandemic. But yeah, big moment. And hopefully it will get run back one day somewhere down the road.
And sticking with big matches that you've had in your career, you did recently, actually, not too long ago, you did get to step in there with Sabre Jr., another standout of the British wrestling scene that kind of just went out there and all over the world. And just it's almost a completely different situation for you, because when you faced Will, you were only coming in, and now you're more established, you're older now, you're more experienced. What was wrestling Zacl like on that stage?
Yeah, it's another one of these moments where you got to show you belong. You know, Zac's one of the very best in the world. If you don't go out there and hold your own, you know, was I favourite to win? Absolutely not. Did I believe I could win? Absolutely yes. I'm going to give it my all. But more than anything, you just want to prove that you can hold your own. You know, go out there and work one of the best in the world and not shit the bed. So yeah, I mean, it was a nerve-wracking one, but I think more so just excited. I felt ready this last year, especially since the start of 2023, and as it's gone on, I just feel more and more confident in my abilities. So by the time we got to December, you know, I'd had a hell of a run, and I felt like now's my time to just show up and show out. And it was a perfect time to do that with someone like Zacl. You know, pleasure to work with someone who is a British wrestling legend, let's be honest. You know, of our era, him and Will, these are the two guys that have gone off and just brought all the eyes on our scene, because this is what we can produce. So yeah, real grateful to have that opportunity, and I'd like to think I held my own, and real cool night. Perfect way to end the year, really.
And just coming back to the Revolution Rumble a bit, of course, if you do win that match, you will get that British heavyweight title opportunity. At Revolution Rumble, Michael Oku will be defending against Leighton Buzzard in a singles match. So, what way do you think that's going to go? And is there someone who you prefer to face between the pair if you were to win the Rumble?
Hey, look, they're both very, very talented performers, professional wrestlers. I'd be happy to get in there with either of them and have a chance at competing for that British heavyweight title. It's been a goal of mine for some time, and I won't rest until I get that championship. You know, I can't call myself the heart and soul of Revolution Pro and not hold that belt one day. Okay, and it's been a journey from a contender, but it will end in me winning that championship one day. As far as who I'd rather face, you know, I think you look at someone like Michael Oku. He really has done everything there is to do in this company. You know, came in at the bottom, won everything you could possibly win, has been the guy. So poetically, if I could beat him, like, what better way to announce yourself as the guy now? But having said that, Leighton Buzzard is a very talented professional wrestler. So whoever it is, as long as that belt's on the line, if I win the Rumble, I'll come in for whoever's got it.
And let's go back a little further now. So when you did, when you were starting off in the ring, or even before that, sorry, what really inspired you to start training and wanting to be a pro wrestler? Was there anyone in particular, any particular wrestler, any particular company, a match?
It's difficult because I feel like I've just always had this passion for pro wrestling, like a lot of us that are in this business have. And I really like it. It's the only thing I've really had a real affinity to want to pursue and go after. So there's not necessarily a particular individual or guy. There's guys growing up. You have your guys you enjoy when you're a kid for whatever reason. And as you learn more about the work rate, there's other guys you enjoy. So there's been loads of guys that have inspired me. I mean, you start off as a kid, you're looking at someone like John Cena, who's just everything you want when you're a little kid, right? You get a bit older and you start discovering other wrestling, and guys like Will Ospreay and Pac are guys that really have influenced me and inspired me. El Generico was someone I watched a lot of his stuff in Ring of Honor, and then, you know, I'm a teenager as about the time he goes into NXT, so I'm seeing his work there and so on. But so many guys that I've watched that have inspired me, and, you know, you watch an amazing wrestling match, you just think, I want to do that one day. I want to be the guy who's creating this experience for someone else to feel how I just feel watching that, because I'm blown away. So it's hard to say a particular match or wrestler. It's just been a passion of mine for ages, and I felt a real sort of desire to pursue this, and always felt that this is something I can do and be successful at. And I feel if you've got that calling, you've got that passion, you just got to follow it.
And just like when you were starting and you were training, was there anyone who particularly like was your mentor while you were training, who really helped you become the wrestler that you are today?
I think there's been a lot of stuff from a lot of different people. I don't know if I've ever had someone who's completely taken me under the wing and been like, hey, like, you're my guy now, I'm going to tell you do this, do that. I think it's more been bits and bobs from other people. And I think it's been trial and error of working places, training places, taking what you can from there, and then maybe realizing when it's time to move on or learn something else. Or if there's someone on the scene that I respect and I think is doing an amazing job, then if we're on a show together and saying, hey, please feedback, let me know what you think. So it's just little bits and bobs. And whenever you're on a show like RevPro, you've got someone like Will Ospreay or Sabre Jr. or any of the other top talent that you have there. Someone like Michael Oku is always a guy that's there to help everyone get better, help the scene get better. He's always going to be there to give you feedback or opinions and pointers. Someone like Gideon Gray, I don't think he gets his flowers. He's been someone who's been around at the Portsmouth School of Wrestling. It's just one of the places I trained for a long time. And he's got such brilliant character work and gimmick that I don't think people really appreciate the mind he has for wrestling. Ask any of the guys that come over on excursion, like they've all picked these little bits from Gideon. So he's someone who's really helped me out as well, I think, with just little nuggets of information. I've been training a lot with Joel Redman over the last year or two, and he's really helped me sort of tighten up my game and my in-ring work. So I've really appreciated that. But I think there's just been lots of different influences in my career. I can't say there's been one particular mentor, but I've taken stuff from all angles to try and make me a better, well-rounded professional wrestler.
Obviously, you are, as you said, the heart and soul of Revolution Pro Wrestling, but you have started to kind of wrestle outside of the company a little more. You've been wrestling in Italy and in other countries. And is that something that in 2024 you want to do more of, or are you kind of focused on Rev Pro?
Absolutely. I mean, I want to wrestle everywhere. All the time. Everyone knows to become the best professional wrestler, you just got to work, you got to get reps in, you got to work different people, different styles, different crowds, different places, different match types, different stories that you want to tell. This is how you become a well-rounded professional wrestler. So yeah, 100%, I want to be everywhere. It's been cool to get out of the places. There's a few other places in the UK I'm working at, and like you say, I seem to have found a little home away from home in Italy with a lot of work over there recently. But I want to go everywhere, and I really just want to experience every side of professional wrestling to become the best possible professional wrestler I can be.
And just staying with kind of your goals for 2024, what is your big goal for 2024? Is it the British heavyweight title? Is it just wrestling as much as possible everywhere you can? Like, is there a particular goal in mind?
So I think a bit of all of that, really, to be honest. For ages, it was just wrestling on York Hall. The amount of York Hall shows that I was either ringside for as a contender or just there to help with the setup of the event. And, I watched so many magical moments there that I just wanted to have my moment at York Hall. I had it last year. I eliminated Sabre Jr. from the Revolution Rumble, and that kicked off that whole sort of year-long arc between us two that culminated in that match we just talked about, Uprising. So I want to be on those big shows. I want to have those big matches. I want to have those breakout matches that get people talking. I feel like me and Luke achieved that a couple of weeks ago with our match, but that's just the beginning. I want people to keep talking about my name. Of course, gold. I want gold this year. Of course, the pinnacle to me is that Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. But whether that's the Cruiserweight Championship, whether that's a championship in another company in the UK or abroad, I want gold. I want top matches against top names. And I just want to keep growing my brand, my reputation, and just keep getting better.
And just as we're winding down, second to last question here. While you do want that, is there a particular name that you do want to wrestle before? Maybe someone you haven't wrestled before, or maybe someone that you wrestled previously, you want to get back in now, you have more experience. Is there anyone that stands out to you right now?
Yeah, I mentioned someone like Will Ospreay. That's not going to happen anytime soon now, knowing where his career's
Never
gone.
know.
You never know, do you? But that is definitely a dream opponent for me. I mentioned Pac was someone that I watched growing up, and I know he's come in and out of Rev Pro at times, so that's not completely off the table. But once again, these are sort of more far-fetched. These are more sort of dream matches for me. In terms of the British scene, I'm seeing who's there now. We talked about Michael Oku. I do think he's the gold standard right now, and I think to call myself the heart and soul of Revolution Pro, I've got to beat the man that's literally been keeping the lights on at Rev Pro. There's an argument that he's the heart and soul of Revolution Pro, but maybe that's something we can play off in the future.
Maybe.
He's someone who's been the top guy in the company. I'm someone who's rose from the very bottom and worked my way up. So I think that match, when it happens, we've only wrestled each other once before. That was a good 2 years ago, so I think we're going to have a different match now. Leon Slater, we're one apiece at the moment in Rev Pro, so I feel like there's got to be a decider there at some point down the line. So there are a few names off the top of my head. After that match I had with Luke, I feel like let's run that back again. But there's so much talent in this country that there's endless answers to that question.
And finally, before I do let you go, JJ, obviously right now, actually, Mad Kurt Forever is going down, and just in memory of the late Mad Kurtis Chapman. And you did know him well. You've teamed with him. You did say there that you would nearly wrestle him. But is there just a fond memory or story that you want to share of Kurt? And I could see you smiling already there, and I think that's just who he was really as a person, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's all you've heard since the tragic news. Is just, as sad as it is what's happened. Whenever you talk about him, you can't help but smile, because he was just one of those guys that he lit up a room with his, infectious personality and humor. Half the time he's pissing you off, and you just want to fuck off, Kurtis. But like, you look back now, and you wouldn't change that for the world. There's so many stories. Some probably I shouldn't tell on here. I'm such a public forum. But
not the first to say that.
Yeah, right. But honestly, just such a dynamite personality that just lit up every locker room he was in. And like, I know it sounds cliche, but it really was the way it was. And I think from what everyone said, you get that. But so many funny times on the road. Just, he's one of those guys, if you're in a car with him, you've got a 4-hour drive to a show, it's just going to fly by, because you're just joking away and having a laugh. We went to a fond one for me was when we went to Germany together a few years ago, just because it's one of those first trips abroad for both of us, where it's quite exciting and it's new and it's different. We had a real fun match there. That's when we tagged, and then afterwards there was an after party where we're drinking away, and like I said, I won't get into the details, but just such fun, funny memories. But I could go on and on. He's just such an incredible person, such an incredible professional wrestler, and I'm not sure he really got his flowers enough. And I think he's starting to get that now. Him versus Will Ospreay from the 229 back in 2022, like, that match was incredible. And I know Will's one of the best in the world, but Kurt's got hold up his end, and the way that worked and that story unfolded, the crowd were just there for everything, and they played every little part of that they could. Genuinely one of my favorite matches I've watched live, just because it's just so much fun. It's everything that's amazing about pro wrestling. So yeah, I love Kurtis. I miss him a lot. Gutted I couldn't be there tonight. But we're just going to keep doing him proud by going out and doing this thing that we all loved so much. And, it's been cathartic at points just to be around British wrestling and then be around the other boys and girls that held him so dear, and just share in, our joint love for Kurtis. So God rest his soul.
That has been an interview with the heart and soul of Revolution Pro Wrestling, guys, JJ Gale. JJ, do you want to tell the people where to find you, where you're going to be next, upcoming bookings and so on?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can keep up to date with everything that's going on and what I've got coming up just at any of the socials at JJGale_PW. I think it's on the screen. Grab your merch there and everything else. So the links to everything coming up soon. I've got Rev Pro in Coventry in a couple of weeks' time is coming up. The Revolution Rumble is the big one, and a ton more days coming up. Just stay tuned to the socials for all of that.
Once again, JJ, thanks so much for sitting down with me, guys. If you're new to Fightful Overbooked, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more interviews, and yeah, guys, see you in the next one.